Hello and welcome. This is a presentation for the Counseling Center on the role exercise, sleep, and nutrition play in our mental health. So a quick outline today. There are many things that we can do to positively affect and help our mental health. Three of them, being exercise, sleep, and nutrition, are what we will focus on today. I refer to these as the cornerstones of optimal mental health because without adequate exercise, proper nutrition, and restful sleep, our mental health does suffer. So why is mental health so important? Mental health is an overall psychological well-being. We know that the mind and body are connected in many ways. One example that many of us can relate to is that little sunshine in the winter leaves us feeling more sad and depressed. This is known as seasonal affective disorder, right? And so because we're not getting enough sunshine, enough vitamin D in the winter months, typically then we feel more sad. And so that's just how our body and mind are connected. Achieving mental wellness leads to a boost in mood, helps build resiliency, and adds to a person's overall enjoyment in life. If you are not healthy, you cannot succeed. This is so important, especially as students. We need to remember that if we are healthy, we can succeed. If we're not, we're going to struggle with that. And then finally, taking care of your mental health can come from professional support and treatment, and by doing things on your own. And so one thing you can be doing on your own right now is watching this presentation. So today I'm going to focus on those three areas like I talked about, exercise, sleep, and nutrition. So first, exercise and how it relates to college students. So here are some facts. More than 60% of college students are not getting the recommended amounts of exercise. And roughly 26% of college students are not exercising at all. And these are some significant statistics that we really need to be mindful of. So then how does exercise relate to our mental health? We know that regular exercise helps your brain. There is such a strong relationship between that mind and body. That mind-body relationship is so strong. And we know that a healthy body is a healthy mind. And so we want to practice this and, implement it in our lives. Exercise helps improve your mood, depression, and anxiety. So serotonin and endorphins are released when you exercise. Endorphins trigger that positive feeling. So after you go for maybe a hike or a swim or a run, that positive feeling, that's those endorphins working for us. That's what we want. And then raising your serotonin levels by exercising boosts your mood and overall sense of well-being. So again, really positive benefits from exercising. Exercise helps with stress and attitude. Exercise helps relieve stress and distracts you from those daily pressures. We know life can be really stressful, and so a good break from that is to go out and exercise. Exercise helps with brain cell development and memory. This is a great one for us college students to keep in mind. Exercise improves concentration and focus. This is another great one that we really want to implement. Don't save your exercises just for the weekend. Do it all the time. We want to improve that concentration and focus and achieve that positive feeling that exercise gives us. Physical fitness is important overall. We know that the relationship between obesity and mental health problems is so complex. And so to combat this obesity problem, we really want to focus in on some physical activity, physical fitness, so then some of those mental health problems can kind of decrease. And I'll talk about this more with like our nutrition side too. So how can we exercise more? So I just said exercise is so important, but why? And like, how are we going to get more exercise into our day? Well, according to research, we only need about 30 minutes of exercise a day. That's that optimal level. And it doesn't all have to happen at once. Like if you don't have 30 minutes in your day, rather you only have two 15-minute blocks, perfect. Use them to exercise. And different examples could be walking or biking to class instead of driving, parking in the free parking lot instead of one of those closer lots. You might have to allow yourself a little more time to walk to your classroom, but hey, look at all those steps you're getting in. Use the facilities here we have on campus. There's so many different machines and equipment that we can use, different programs, things like this, and they're all here for you to be using and appreciating, and so don't forget to check those out. Find a workout buddy. This makes working out more fun, and it keeps you accountable too because you have that other person relying on you. Find a form of exercise that you enjoy and make it a routine. If you don't like running, don't pick up running. If you don't like lifting weights, then don't force yourself to lift weights. Find something you enjoy and then make it a routine. Set it into your schedule. They say if you are more likely to schedule a workout into your day, like actually writing it in, putting it in your phone or in your calendar, whatever it is, you're more likely to stick with it. And so we know that exercise is important, so schedule it in and then make it enjoyable and fun. So moving on to sleep, some quick facts about sleep as they relate to college students. So college students should be getting on average 7 to 9 hours of sleep a night. And we want this to be every night too, not just Monday through Friday, but try to achieve that, on weekends too. When you're sleep deprived, you are not as alert or coordinated. This causes us to be more prone to car accidents too, which can be so devastating. And so just as dangerous as like drinking and driving, well, sleep deprivation and driving go hand in hand. We don't want them, correlated, and so we want to be alert. 84 million adults are not getting enough sleep. This is a very surprising statistic. 7 to 9 hours, isn't too much out of a 24-hour day, and so we really want to schedule that and get it into our schedule so that we can benefit from it. So then how does sleep relate to mental health? Sleep deprivation and mood. Sleep deprivation is linked to higher levels of stress, higher blood pressure levels, and lower brain functioning. And so those are all adverse health issues or complications that we don't need added into our lives. And so we can overcome this by getting enough sleep and making a good restful sleep. Lack of sleep is linked to medical complications and impaired brain functioning or development. Again, as college students, we don't want this. We want our brains working at a great optimal level so that way we can benefit from it. Lack of sleep contributes to an increased level of stress and illness. We know that our bodies need time to recover and recharge, just like a doctor will tell you to go home and rest up after being sick for a little bit, maybe with a cold or a flu. We know that, when we're under a lot of stress or anything else, we need sleep. This gives our body time to recover and recharge and get ready for the next day. Adequate sleep is linked to better grades and improved memory. When we sleep, our brains have time to sort through all that information we took in during the day and learned about, and then file it away. That's the great part about sleep, is it gives our brain a chance to kind of like work everything out, file it away, all that information, so that way when we need to recall it later on, maybe for a paper or an exam, we're more readily available, easier to do this because we helped ourselves early on. And so As a good student, you should also want good sleep. So better sleep means improved mood overall. We know that anxiety, depression, this is all linked to sleep too. So if you're feeling pretty anxious or depressed about something, kind of feeling those sad feelings like a dark cloud's hanging over you, really check your sleep schedule. See if it's off, or if you're sleeping way too much or way not enough. Like 2 hours of sleep a night isn't gonna cut it for you. And if you're sleeping more than 9 hours, maybe like 12 or 15 hours, this is just as dangerous too. And it can happen when we're feeling pretty sad about things. And so we want to get into that optimal level of sleep just to get the overall benefits from that. So how do we get better sleep? We understand now that it's so important for so many different reasons, but how can we get better sleep? One way is to establish a sleep schedule and stick to it. So what I mean by this is set a time when you're going to go to bed and then when you're going to get up. So make sure it's in that optimal level. So if you're going to go to bed at 8 and be up by 5:30, 6 o'clock, like that would be great. If you set it back because of a work schedule, that's great, but then you should sleep in more in the morning just so you get it figured out. Also, if we set a sleep schedule for ourselves, then our bodies are more likely to get in sync with this. Our bodies are going to know when it's time to go to sleep, when it's time to wake up, and it's just going to help us overall. Try to limit screen time 1 hour before bed. So the light from the screens, whether it's from your phone, tablet, computer, whatever, TVs, throws off your sleep cycle. And that blue light really kind of affects our calming down, our getting ready for bed. And so if we really want to stick with a sleep schedule, crawl into bed and fall asleep right away, try to limit some of that screen time. And if you can't, like if you are having to work really late on homework and stuff, or be on the computer for some reason, try to turn on like a blue light or like dim the brightness of your screen down just to kind of save some of that bright light from affecting your eyes and your overall body. Beds should be used for sleeping only. In college, it's pretty common to use our beds for a lot of things, right? It can be a kitchen table, a desk, a comfy spot to watch Netflix in, and it's for sleeping. This gets our bodies kind of confused. It doesn't understand what our bed is for, what we're going to be doing in this time. And so we should really kind of limit our beds only for sleeping. Find a different spot to watch Netflix. Eat your food at a table. Try to do homework at a desk. Like, this will help your brain differentiate these different places and what to do in them. Take proper naps. So a proper nap is between 20 and 30 minutes. We don't want to be taking naps that are 2-3 hours long, because this really is going to mess up our sleep schedule, get our bodies all off whack. The proper nap time, is 20 to 30 minutes. That way we don't get into any like deep REM sleeps or anything like this. It's just a quick recharge nap. Try to limit those two to like once, maybe twice a day, depending on how your day goes, but really just focusing on one nap. And then if we stick to this sleep schedule and allow ourselves that good 7 to 9 hours of restful, adequate sleep each night, maybe we don't need as many naps then throughout the day. Another tip for getting better sleep is to avoid afternoon caffeine. So caffeine from coffees or teas really kind of throw our system into high alert, right? So caffeine usually hypes us up, gets us all full of energy and going, but this isn't what we need in the later afternoon. And so try to limit your caffeine to the morning. Try to keep numbers of drinks of caffeine down, just so that way, that caffeine can work out of our bodies before it's time to go to bed. Also, avoid eating right before bed. So if we eat a large meal right before bed, that digestion of that food will keep you up at night because your stomach is trying to digest and churn all that food around in our stomach. And that can cause a lot of problems when we're trying to sleep and relax. And so trying to eat several hours before bed too is a good idea. Practice meditation and journaling before bed. This can be part of your sleep schedule. So if you're trying to limit maybe not watching TV before bed, try plugging in some meditation or giving yourself time to read a book or do some journaling before bed. It's a great way to calm yourself down, reflect on your day, and kind of get in that right mindset to fall asleep. And so exercise too can promote a regular sleep-wake cycle and help reduce stress, making it easier to fall asleep at night. If you're one of those people who likes to exercise but doesn't have the time until later at night, this might throw your sleep schedule off a little bit, just because you have all those endorphins and serotonins working in your body, producing those good euphoric feelings. So maybe try working out right away in the morning once you get up to kind of energize yourself for the day, or just fit this exercise into your day sometime before bed, since it does help promote that regular sleep-wake cycle. So now we're going to move on to the third section on nutrition. Just a plug here, I am not a nutritionist. I can't tell you what you should or should not be eating in particular, things like that. These are just facts and information and tips that I know that are beneficial and that are going to help you, but we can always direct you to other resources, and I'll point those out in the next slide. But just some facts then in relation to nutrition and college student. So nutrition nourishes your whole body, even your brain. So we want to make sure that we're feeding our brain something healthy rather than something that's high in fat, sugar, sodium, processed foods, etc., whatever it might be. We want our bodies to feed our bodies something good because that's also feeding our brains. So your college years are when you are reinforcing your eating habits. We know that college is a great time to experiment and try new things, try new recipes, different types of food, different ways to prepare food. This is a great time to establish some good, healthy eating habits. They don't have to be extreme, but try not to get sucked into those quick, simple meals that like you just throw in the microwave, or foods that you don't prepare yourself. Try to establish some good eating habits. So your first year of college, typically students gain 3 to 7 pounds. There's the long-standing joke of the freshman 15, but it happens, right? That first year, some students do gain weight, and that's because maybe we don't have a parent cooking for us anymore. Maybe we don't have access to all the things we used to have at home. Maybe we don't like the food that's prepared in the dining hall, or we're just choosing to eat at McDonald's every day or something. There's a lot of transitions that happen in college, and maybe we're not focusing on food so much right away. We don't have that person reminding us to eat all our fruits and vegetables every day anymore. And so really kind of focusing in on this, being conscious of it, and then establishing healthy eating, boundaries for yourself, different rules, so that way we can kind of avoid some of this extra weight gain. And then the last fact I have here is 95% of college students fail to eat the recommended amounts of fruits and vegetables. So according to the MyPlate statistic, the average amount of fruit that a person should be eating is 1 to 2 cups a day, and then for vegetables it's 1 to 3 cups a day. And this might seem like a lot. I mean, how are we going to eat 5 cups of fruits and vegetables a day? But there's a lot of different ways we can incorporate fruits and vegetables into our diets. Maybe that's through having a salad for lunch with fruits and vegetables, blending them into a smoothie, anything like that's going to help us get all those fruits and vegetables in. And since 95% of college students fail to meet this, let's change that. Let's have 95% of students reaching that statistic. So then how does nutrition relate to mental health? What you eat affects your productivity in different ways. So we want to eat healthy. If we feed ourselves a greasy cheeseburger, it might taste good right away, right? Like that sounds pretty delicious. But what happens afterwards? Usually we feel kind of bloated, maybe some grogginess, kind of like heavy stomach, maybe your mood's kind of off. Well, this is that grease in that cheeseburger working against us, right? We don't want those things. They're harder to digest and they're going to do no good for us. And so just being conscious of like what we're putting in, because it does affect our productivity in many different ways. We know that carbohydrates are correlated with our mood, same with protein and alertness. We want to moderate our intake of carbs and protein. We want to hit that optimal level so that way our mood is positive and we have enough energy, we're alert. Protein, whether it comes from meat, seafood, nuts, eggs, anything like this that has good protein source, and that helps with our alertness and our energy levels. And so withdrawing that from our diets, limiting that, isn't going to help us stay alert. Fruits and vegetables, like we said, are so important because they help with mood regulation. We know from one of these studies that participants who ate less high-fat meals and more fruits and vegetables were happier, more engaged, and more creative. So less fat, more fruits and vegetables equal happier, more engaged, and more creative. That's what we all want, right? Another fact here for how nutrition relates to our mental health, eating small, frequent meals can help balance that stress hormone. So if we, limit how much we eat to only like breakfast and then a late night snack or something, our bodies get pretty stressed out. Like they don't know when our next meal is coming. It's going to throw off our metabolism, everything like that. And so it's just not helpful. And it's also not helpful to avoid breakfast and lunch and then just eat one large meal at supper time, because then our bodies are like flooded with food and trying to digest all that. It's just not going to help us. So trying to eat small, more frequent meals or snacks throughout the day is important. And keeping in mind too, smart snacking. We want to eat something that's good for us and not, full of extra sugars or things like that. The danger of fad diets, usually these diets are tasteless, boring, complex, time-consuming, gross, and overall, these efforts for these fad diets are pretty short-lived. So we don't want to do that. We don't want to put ourselves through something like that. Rather, what we can do to reinforce those good eating habits are eat whole foods. Know where your meals are coming from. Know what's being put into that dish or meal or whatever, and just avoid some of those fad diets. In the end here, poor diet equals poor mental health. We know that if we want optimal mental health, we have to have a good balanced diet to get there. So like I was saying earlier, that obesity and mental health problems, they have a complex relationship. More individuals who are on the higher side of weight or on that scale of obesity, they have a higher rate of depression, almost a 55% more chance of being depressed than others. When we look at those, living an active lifestyle, within a healthy weight range, this rate of depression goes down. And so keeping that in mind too, our nutrition and our exercise level, even our sleep, it all has an effect on our mental health, and we really need to be conscious of this. So then, thinking about our nutrition, how can we improve our nutrition to help ourselves, to better ourselves? So eat foods you enjoy. If you really enjoy broccoli, then eat it, right? Like, we don't want to not eat it because it's something we enjoy. If you don't like broccoli, don't force yourself to eat it then every day. Find different ways either to incorporate other vegetables in or whatever you decide, but eat those foods you enjoy. If you really do enjoy chocolate or McDonald's or something like that, go ahead, eat it, but eat it in moderation. Know that you can't eat it every day for every meal, or for, you can't eat chocolate for every snack every day. But just be conscious of it, and then don't deprive yourself of stuff you do enjoy. Never skip meals. Again, this eating regular keeps your metabolism burning calories efficiently. And so if we skip a meal, then our bodies kind of think like, whoa, hey, where's my next meal coming from? I better hold on to these calories. Like, I don't know. And so then you're stuck with all these extra calories, and your body's not burning them off through that metabolism. And so skipping meals can be very dangerous, and it can create some really unhealthy habits. Another nutrition tip here is try creating your own meals. Again, creating some healthy eating habits in college is going to help you in the long run. And we know that creating your own meals is fun. You can do it with friends or with roommates. Try new recipes, try something different, try something fun. You might like it. And then when we create our own meals, we're also knowing what we're putting in those dishes, right? And so if we order in all the time, we're not sure what kind of spices they use, what kind of extra food coloring they might put in there. Some of those processed foods, we can't even read all the ingredients on those lists. So what are we putting into our bodies? But if we start making our own meals, making all these things on our own, we're going to know exactly what's going into them, and then we're going to know exactly what's going into our bodies. Practice mindful eating and snack smart. So I kind of talked about this a little bit in the last slide, but doing mindful eating really kind of helps you acknowledge what you're eating, how much you're eating, the texture, the temperature, things like this. Really gives you a better overall experience of the food. And then to snack smart, having healthy snacks on hand, in your house, in your dorm, in your backpack, anything like this. Replace those candy bars with carrot sticks, or have a handful of dried fruit and nuts to snack on. Snacking smart is a great way to get us by, between lunch and supper, or breakfast and lunch if we get kind of hungry. But being conscious of what we're eating, what we're snacking on, that's always a great thing to keep in mind. Always balance your meals with proper portion sizes. So checking out the MyPlate guidelines to see how much of each food group you should be eating. If you are on a special diet, then balancing that so that way you're getting all your nutrients, everything you need. It's so important, and it's going to benefit you in countless ways. Drinking water is a must. We need to stay hydrated. It helps our bodies work, actually. We need water to function. It helps with digestion and everything else along the way. And so drinking enough water is always important. And then seek help if you need it. Nutrition can be confusing sometimes. Maybe there's a certain health condition that you really are dealing with and need some extra help with. Seek help. If you're worried about your eating habits, talk to a counselor. Otherwise, you can go to the campus dietitian. I have her information listed here. She's a great resource, and she meets with all of our students who reach out to her about meal plans, or like what you should or shouldn't be eating. You can always talk to Student Health Services. They're a great resource to go to, or even your normal doctor practitioner would have some great ideas onto how to better your nutrition and stuff like that. So I hope this helped you a little bit learn more about exercise, sleep, and nutrition. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out to the Counseling Center. We're here to help you, whether that's by phone or email or just stopping in to set up an appointment. We'll always be here for you, and we're happy to help you with anything that you might need. So have a great rest of your day, and thanks for listening.